Hello and welcome to another episode of Now About That with James and Sarah. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And in this week's episode, is this us speaking or did someone put a topic into ChatGPT and develop an entire episode of the podcast?
I think that even the AI could not interpret how crazy we are.
Possibly, yeah. So today what we're going to be talking about, or on this week's episode, what we're going to be talking about and exploring is ChatGPT, but also taking a look at artificial intelligence. And we'll talk about positive ways that artificial intelligence is being used and explore some ethical questions related to the use of AI. So first of all, I kind of want to just look at what ChatGPT is. So now, Sarah, you just said you hadn't really heard about it until I thought about it as a topic.
Yeah.
What information have you found since you've looked into it a little bit?
Well, so here's what I did. I typed it into Google, as one does. And then Wikipedia, who's always there for me, gave me the information. Basically, for those of you out there who don't know what it is, it's a chatbot that was launched by OpenAI just in November of this last year.
Yeah. And
it's fine-tuned, according to this, with both supervised and reinforcement learning techniques. So it's I'm intrigued by it, as I am by most AI.
So this is an article from Insider. And it's basically saying, so ChatGPT is basically just like any other artificial intelligence. It's based on the information that's provided to it when it does its learning section. And then information has access to whenever someone asks a question or asks it to do something. When I looked up or I watched a video about ChatGPT and AI in general, some of the things that like really kind of stood out is it's not new. So ChatGPT specifically is new, but chatbots aren't, and artificial intelligence isn't something that's brand new. They've been around for a long time. So if you've ever like interacted with a bot or like a chat function in like your bank or your cell phone provider's web address, it's the same thing as a chatbot. So it basically is given information. Those are kind of more fine-tuned to specifically about the company that you're talking to, and it can give you like basic answers that is only given to it. So only the information it has been provided it can give to you based on the questions that you ask. So it's kind of why, and a lot of times, if you ever ask a chat bot or like one of those chat things a question and it's worded to where you understand it, but maybe if you ask someone else, they wouldn't understand it, it doesn't have a good answer for you, or it will come up with a completely different answer than what you were looking for. One thing to note is AIs are not perfect, and people are using them. And people using them should take care and not rely on the information that's provided without reviewing it independently. So there was a CNBC, I watched a video that CNBC did. It was a short expose where they talked to a legal firm who used it to study court cases. In a lot of cases, it was getting information incorrect based on the court cases and the history around the court cases. And there's some tendency for AI to potentially be biased based on the information that it's receiving. And it can be dangerous if it's continuously feeding inaccurate information to the user. And then they don't do their own independent research, and they just take whatever the AI says as correct information.
Right.
One thing I've seen is in learning and development, they're looking to see how you can use AI to adapt a training model or learning model to kind of personalize the training that someone receives based on like their tendencies. That's the other thing. AI isn't it's anytime you like think about your algorithm for like TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, that's artificial intelligence. It's looking at what you've seen before, what you've researched online, and it's showing you what it thinks you would like to see. So when you say, or when someone asks you, oh, did you see this? Or, oh, did you see that? Or your friend sends you a TikTok that you've seen forever, that means you and your friend have the same likes and that you've already seen the TikTok that they've sent because you have similar opinions.
Yeah.
But that also means that people that are looking at incorrect news or fake news or incorrect information will continuously get fed that fake information based on the things that they click on, the things that they watch, the things that they do. So that's where it gets a little bit dangerous, I think, because there's not that much going into policing, not really policing, but monitoring that information and making sure the incorrect information doesn't continuously get served to that person.
Right.
I think there's a really good thing that everybody keeps saying is if you are feeling a certain way when you're watching something, you're looking at something, and it makes you feel very mad or very annoyed or like a certain way that it's a really strong emotion, it's more than likely either incorrect or the information is inflated. So seek another source. But then the other thing is, and it's a funny thing, I've heard people say, go out and touch grass. Get away from your computer, get offline, go actually do something in the world that's not staring at your computer.
Right. My recommendation is read a book, especially if there's a topic that's bothering you. Like, let's say, like you said, you look at an article and it gives you like very strong emotions. Go to your public library, like find a book on that topic, get more information, because you're going to be able to find a lot more information in a book with a lot more sources than you're going to be able to find on the internet without, like you said, finding the same stuff that you've already been looking at.
Yeah.
Because the algorithm's going to be like, well, let's just support your biases. Whereas that's not the same case with a book. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. Okay. I'm changing things around, trying to figure out what's going on because it's a little. I don't want your sound to echo through the computer, so I plugged in some headphones I had sitting around.
Yeah, we were having some technical difficulties before we started this episode.
I left the headset I usually use. I thought I had grabbed it, but I left it at work. Apparently, I know I packed it up, but I must not have packed it into my bag, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyways, so some of the things that I also looked up is there's a big worry about AI replacing jobs. So I know, I think you said something about you were worried about translations, which I could kind of see because basically what AI does is take the information that's available and does whatever you ask it to do. So if you plug in something that you want translated, because of how accurate the information most of the time is, with simple tasks like that, that sounded bad. I think translating is a simple task. With tasks that is very language based, because that's basically what the only thing it is it's based on a language model. So it takes the information it's been given, sifts through it, and finds the information or finds what that person is looking for. So if I were to say, hey, I want this sentence translated into Malay, if it has the dictionary of Malay and it understands the sentence structure based on previous sentence structure that it's looked at from the Malay language, it can pretty accurately reproduce that information for me.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, when I'm talking about more developed AI than Google Translate. Okay. Google Translate isn't what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's a lot of the times wrong. Yeah.
As long as we're not talking about Google Translate, because Google Translate.
And the reason Google Translate is wrong is because, and it's not that it's wrong, the words are right. It's just that the way that it's written and the grammar and the sentence structure is based on how you put it into the Google option. So if I put in something like, I want to go buy 3 yellow chickens or something like that, it's going to translate it exactly that way, even if in the language they may flip around and say, instead of yellow chickens, chickens of yellow. It will just automatically, it won't flip it around like that.
Yeah, it doesn't do a very good job of colloquialisms or sentence structure. They tend to be a little wonky.
Yeah, and that's where I think, when I say AI like ChatGPT or another version of AI comes into, it's a little more developed than just Google Translate, where it knows the way that sentences are structured based on the information that's been given, and it will understand that when you put in something like I want to buy 6 yellow chickens, that's not the way that it's written in Spanish or in whatever language you want it to be translated to, and it will fix it and correct it.
Right.
So for like ChatGPT and things that AI that's a little bit more knowledgeable and up to date, it will actually do a more accurate job than Google Translate. And so there were a couple of other things that it had pointed out, or the news article that I watched had pointed out. So translations is one. News articles is another one where it could replace like newscasters or people, like not newscasters, columnists that write news. Like it could replace them because it's learning that information and it will just put it in based on the information that it's given.
Right.
And then the other one was computer software programming. So, I mean, I think now I don't know how much it can actually replace these things because, yeah, those things are pretty routine. But like technology and like and software programming, that changes so much that artificial intelligence, unless somebody tells it the information, it doesn't know it.
Right.
Like unless it learns the information, so it has to be available already. It doesn't just come up with information. It can't make its own decisions.
It doesn't spontaneously create.
Yeah.
So.
And then the other thing that I read was about schools. So schools have been banning the use of AI, and some schools have even gone as far as requiring students to turn in handwritten rough drafts of their papers to confirm that the information is being provided and is something that they research and develop themselves.
Yeah. My technical writing teacher actually made a post saying, just so you know, if you're using AI to write your papers, that's considered cheating because that's not you doing the work. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that was a thing that needed to be said, but
right?
We are.
See, that's what I thought too. It's like it's obvious. So it's obvious sometimes that it's not something that you've written, but sometimes it might not be so obvious. However, they're like the school's plagiarism thing checker has a way of checking to see if something is like from you bought it from a site or it looks like it could be AI generated. The thing that does suck is if you write really technically and it looks like it's not something that would be typically written by a college student and it gets flagged. Like, how difficult is it to say, no, I wrote that information and show that you did?
Yeah.
I think that's where schools, it can get kind of wonky for me because it's very difficult to appeal a decision, especially if it's like something about plagiarism.
Right.
Let's see, what else? So do you know of any like artificial intelligence things other than the ones that I just talked about that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head. It's really funny because obviously I know that there's a lot of artificial intelligences that are in like everyday things that we use. But I still have a tendency to think of artificial intelligence as science fiction.
Yeah.
Like a thing of the future when I'm not going to be alive to experience it, even though I'm living in it right now.
Yeah, I think the thing is, the reason we think of it that way is because we didn't grow up with anything like that. And it was depicted in all of the movies and stuff that we've watched when we were growing up as that's something that is going to be like in the year 2030. Well, I guess the year 2030 is just around the corner.
Exactly.
Like it's not.
There's a disconnect, I guess, for me.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's because, we, in the time frame that we were growing up, we didn't have as much access to technology as like kids do now. I remember when we got our first computer in like 1999.
Jeez, rich.
No, we got it through a homeschooling program. So it was free. But it was huge, first of all, and you couldn't do jack shit on it back then. But but like even then, even when we had the computer, I was still playing outside and doing like reading like encyclopedias for information because we didn't have like Wikipedia.
I read something that was like, oh gosh, what was it? If you were born before, what year was it? Isn't this typing? If you were born before the year 1998, you were born before Google.
Yeah,
so
I'm 10 years older than Google.
Yeah, so it's like think I saw a TikTok or something that said, I told my kids that I was older than Google and they laughed and didn't believe me.
Right. I'm just like, and I remember as a kid not even really using Google as much. I used Ask
Yeah,
Jeeves,
ask Jeeves. Yeah.
um, which like Ask Jeeves doesn't even exist anymore.
It's something
It's like,
else now.
I think it's just
Somebody,
ask.com now, which is boring if you ask me.
yeah.
Like, they should have,
Ask.com.
they should have kept it Ask Jeeves. Bring back
I
Ask Jeeves.
I think there was something like maybe a little. What was that? Oh, those
Oh,
are your feet.
those are my feet.
I just saw it out of the corner of my eye and I was like, oh my god.
My room is haunted.
So yeah, Ask Jeeves. Oh, there is an AskJeeves.net where you can ask a question. That's cool.
Well, that's good.
It's not the same though, because it's got like a at the top of it. There's a band sitting in front of a. It's just a band. It's not like the actual like Ask Jeeves guy.
Oh, well, never mind then. I take it back. But yeah,
Um,
like it's both interesting and kind of frightening having watched technology develop like this.
Yeah, I did see in that same CNBC expose I watched, they were talking about how OpenAI allegedly had at one point outsourced watching and monitoring content that the AI was reviewing to review it and to mark it as inappropriate, so that if someone like asked a question to about that specific thing, like child pornography or how to build a bomb, it would know not to provide that information. But they outsourced it to, I think it was like India or somewhere, to a company, and they only paid their people like $2 an hour. And they were only like, they were required to watch 10, 11 hours of this terrible content and then weren't provided any like mental health services afterwards. And a lot of people like ended up just like leaving and quitting, so much so that the company had to eventually shut down because they couldn't get people to come in and do the job.
Oof. Well, I'm not sitting and watching that shit for $2
Right.
an hour.
I mean, I don't know that I don't think there's any type of money that could make me want to sit and watch that. Like that's a lot. And like it seems to me like there would be a way where you could write something like that into the algorithm itself,
Right,
so that
without
it
having
knows if this comes up in a question or a search, flag it and say, I can't provide this information to you. And I think they have now, because if you ask ChatGPT, and they did during this expose, they asked, can you tell me how to build a bomb? And it said, that's something I cannot provide. That's information I cannot provide to you.
Right.
So I think the big difference between Chat GPT and the like regular chatbot AI options is it generates stories and things like rap lyrics, art, and videos as well, by collecting that information and then like creating a picture or creating something for you that you ask it to create. I watched a video where someone asked it to create a rap song by sang by Eminem, and it literally sounded like Eminem was singing a rap song. It was really cool, but also kind of terrifying, because like, what if you asked like the Chat GPT to like say that or have the president say something where it's like they're declaring war or something. And if you pump that out and you get it out like to media, they're not going to know. They're just going to react because they're like, well, what if we can't not let this news break by someone else?
Right. Right.
So that's where it does kind of get a little bit scary. But I did look up some information on using how to use artificial intelligence ethically, and this is by Forbes. So there's a few different. I see there's six different ways to use artificial intelligence ethically. Number one is start with education and awareness about AI. So communicate clearly with people externally and internally about what AI can do and its challenges. Be transparent. This is one of the biggest things I stress with every organization I work with. Every organization needs to be open and honest, both internally and externally, about how they are using AI. And then 3 is control for bias. As much as possible, organizations need to make sure that the data they're using is not biased. For instance, Google created a huge database of facial images called ImageNet. Their data their data set included far more white faces than non-white faces. So when they trained the AIs to use this data, they worked better with white faces than non-white faces. And I've heard that about like facial, like unlocking your phone. Sometimes the facial recognition works better with a person that has a lighter complexion than it does with someone with a darker complexion.
Right. That's kind of historical, though.
Yeah.
The many interesting ways that racism is built into our society.
And it like this isn't even it's accidental racism.
Well, the reason that I say that
Unintentional, not accidental, unintentional.
yeah, like it's an unintentionally racist thing that's happening, but it's unintentional now because of intentional technology back in the day. So like photography, for example, has always had problems with people of color. It was developed to photograph white people,
Yeah.
not people of color.
Oh, speaking of, happy Black History Month.
Right? Happy Black History Month.
Should have started that. We should do an episode looking at Black history this month.
We can do that. I have all the Black history info. Black History Month is my favorite month ever since I was a little kid. It's just how it is.
Yeah. So sorry, back to this. I got off topic because it was talking about something that I had recently watched. For make it explainable. So when you use modern AI tools like deep learning, they can be black boxes where humans don't really understand the decision-making process within their algorithms. Companies feed them data and the AIs learn from that data and then they make the decision. So make sure you keep it to where people understand how the AI is being used and they can then explain it to other people. Make it inclusive. At the moment, we have far too many male white people working on AI. And we need to make sure that people are building the AI systems of the future are as diverse as our world. There is some progress in bringing in more women and people of color to make sure the AI you're building truly represents our society as a whole. And then the last one is follow the rules. So we're seeing increasing regulation of AI in Europe and in parts of the US. However, there are still a lot of unregulated parts that rely on self-regulation by organizations. And then Google and Microsoft are focusing on using AI for good, and Google has its own self-defined AI principles. So this is more how can companies use AI ethically? And then I also looked up how artificial intelligence is being used in like learning and development, because that's my day job, learning and development.
Right.
So the first one that it talks about in this article is from Herlix Digital, and it's called 7 Roles of Artificial Intelligence in Learning and Development. And then it goes through, again, 6 ways that artificial intelligence is important to learning and development. So there's personalized learning, which we touched on a little bit, where AI enables personalized learning experiences for each learner. And this can be done by analyzing the learner's performance and adapting the curriculum or content to their needs and preferences. I think for that, it's a good way to potentially look at like learning disabilities and for AI to then kind of train that or train itself to present the information in a way that someone with a learning disability has a better way of understanding the information, and it's improving their scores and improving their skills based on the information and how the person's performing. Intelligent tutoring systems, AI-powered tutoring systems can provide learners personalized feedback and audience as they can provide personalized feedback and guidance. Oh, I said audience. And guidance as they work through the curriculum. These systems can also analyze learners' performance and adapt the instructions to their needs. So kind of the same thing. Automated content creation. AI can create educational content such as videos, quizzes, and other interactive materials. And then this can save time and resources for educators and trainers. That's where I think we want to be careful because, one, you're potentially getting replacing someone else's job that it's to create content, but there's a potential.
He's coughing, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a potential to create that bias that we talked about earlier.
Hmm.
if the information given to it is not super accurate. And then there's adaptive testing, where AI can create adaptive tests and adjust the difficulty of the questions based on the learner's performance. And this can provide a more accurate assessment of the learner's knowledge and skills. I think that gets a little tricky because you're holding someone to a different level of standards than you are someone else.
Right.
And then chatbots and virtual assistants, which is AI-powered chatbots and virtual assistants that can provide learners with 24/7 support, answering their questions and providing guidance on the material. And then the last one is predictive analytics, where it predicts the student's performance, identifies at-risk students, and provides personalized interventions that can help them improve, which I think that can be helpful, but then that can it goes back to the what if it incorrectly identifies someone as at risk.
Right. I don't even know what the workaround for that would be, honestly. And
Yeah.
that's why I don't work in technology.
Oh, there's even more down here. So it also talks
Goodness.
about tech innovations. And there's the personalized learning, which we talked a little bit about, adaptive learning, automated grading, learning analytics, virtual instructors, and translations, which we also talked about a little bit.
Hmm.
But I think overall, if it's used correctly, artificial intelligence in a like training or learning environment can be helpful.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Well, do you want to take a quick break and then talk about some of the ethical concerns with artificial intelligence?
Yeah,
All right, we will take a quick break and be right back.
BRB.
And we're back. All right. So we just talked a little bit about what AI is, how it's currently being used, a little bit about ChatGPT. But now I want to look at some of the more ethical concerns around artificial intelligence. And I'm reading from or looking at a article from G2, which is I'm assuming a magazine. I've never heard of it.
G2?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a magazine.
So some of the ethical concerns are about bias, which we've talked about a little bit, but this goes into a Georgia Tech's article or research from 2019, where self-driving cars were found to be 5% more likely to hit a pedestrian with dark skin. So because of the way that the model is written into the self-driving cars, it sees people with darker skin less, so it's less likely to react than it does for someone with lighter skin. Like I said, this was from 2019. So the article is now at least 4 years old, and self-driving cars have advanced a lot since then. So I don't know how much more, but I will say this is a little bit different. But it does say on the plus side, the good thing about AI and machine learning are models is that data sets they're trained to can be modified with enough effort invested, and they can become largely unbiased. The other ethical concern is what we talked about already. What about replacing jobs? So automatic teller machines are one of the options, or one of the things it's talking about, where it's been replaced by, in the 1970s, it replaced a lot of bank employees because people were just using the money movers or automatic teller machines, ATMs, instead of going into the bank, which honestly, I can understand. I don't even use cash, but when I do, I hate having to go to a bank to deposit it. And right now, where I work for my bank, I would have to drive all the way to Marlboro to deposit money into a bank,
Yeah.
or into an ATM. So, and I don't even know where I can go to a bank to deposit. So I don't usually do cash. And then it also has reflected on what's currently happening with AI and its applications. An example, when AI was first introduced to understand and mimic human speech, people panicked as chatbots and intelligent virtual assistants replaced human customer service agents. The reality is that AI powered automation can be extremely useful, but AI is unlikely to replace humans truly. Because, like we talked about earlier, there's so many things that it's limited on, and a
Mm,
lot of the items can only be done by an actual person making the change in the system. I
right.
know a lot of the times, whenever I have to talk to like the automated voice, it can't do what I'm asking it to do. So it will, I usually just have to say customer service, and it will just send me to someone in the customer service area.
Yeah.
And then it talks about AI and privacy. So perhaps the most valid concern about ethics is AI privacy. Privacy is recognized as a fundamental human right in the UN Declaration of Human Rights, and various AI applications can pose a real threat to it. Technologies such as surveillance cameras, smartphones, and internet have made it easier to collect personal data. When companies aren't transparent about why and how data is collected and stored, privacy is at risk. Facial recognition, for example, is controversial for many reasons. One reason being how the images are recognized and stored by this technology. Being monitored without explicit consent is one of the AI applications many considered unethical. In fact, the European Commission banned facial recognition technology in public spaces until adequate ethical controls can be put in place.
Mm.
And then there's a little excerpt here that says 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase when brands offer personalized experiences. One of the things that it points to is the now crazy infamous Cambridge Analytica scandal involved in a political consulting firm that worked for the Trump campaign, which sold the private data of tens of millions of Facebook users. And then the last ethical example that it has listed here is deception and manipulation using AI. Using AI to perpetuate misinformation is another form of major ethical issue. Machine learning models can easily generate factually incorrect text, meaning fake news articles or fake summaries can be created in seconds and distributed through the same channels as real news articles. Kind of like we were talking about earlier, where you can ask it to create like a fake someone saying something and it can be perceived as correct, as real. This is well illustrated by how much social media influenced the spread of fake news during the 2016 election, putting Facebook in the spotlight of ethical AI. In 2017, a study by NYU and Stanford researchers shows that the most popular fake news stories on Facebook were shared more often than the most popular mainstream news stories. The fact that this misinformation was able to spread without regulation from Facebook, potentially affecting the results of something as important as presidential election, is extremely disturbing. And then it goes on to talk about deep fakes.
Ah, yes. Now that I've been hearing about, in particular, apparently people have started creating deep fakes of people that they want to have sex with
I have heard about that, yeah.
and like creating sexual content with that. And I'm over here like, without permission? You're doing
Yeah.
what?
I've also seen a lot where people will, it's like Lady Gaga, but she's singing a song by someone else. And it's like, it's a generated video that's showing Lady Gaga singing,
Right,
but it's someone else. Like it's not her song.
right.
And it's not like she didn't actually sing. But pulling up some deep fakes, 2021 trends in combating deep fakes, deep fake impersonation attacks. So there's executive impersonation attacks where are now business email compromise. I don't know what this means, but there's a video of, and it's a really interesting video. What's her name? Not Rachel McAdams, Amy Adams. So it's a video that is originally of her, but they have auto-generated Nicolas Cage's face onto her video, and it's like a side by side, and you can barely tell that it's fake. It's crazy.
Oof. That
I
sounds mortifying. There was one of my friends posted some quote unquote photographs that were AI generated of a party, and all the people in these quote unquote photographs are AI generated. They're not real people. And it just got more disturbing the more you looked at it, because there were like too many fingers on their hands or like something else like that, and it just was very interesting to me because I'm like, okay, on the one hand, previous to seeing like these issues, I would have thought these were real photos, but then you start looking at it and going, oh, these are not
Yeah.
real photos.
And that's where it can deep fakes and things like that can be dangerous, or the AI can be dangerous. Where if you just take that as at face value and just assume that it's real, that's where things can go really wrong really fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? How things are going? Sarah's cramping like a mother.
Yeah. I'm dying. Well, we can talk about the fact that I like painted my walls with ketchup.
Oh yeah, that's gross. How did that even happen? Also, why do you have packets of ketchup just laying around your bedroom?
Okay, first of all, don't judge me. Secondly, no, so I got Whataburger for dinner last night, and I always ask for spicy ketchup for my French fries. Because I'm not gonna lie, Whataburger's fries are not that great. Their food's good, but their fries are not that good. I only like them with ketchup. Anyway, sorry about the tangent. So I thought I had picked up all the packets and set them off to the side because I save them if I have extra, because sometimes they don't give me my ketchup. So apparently I missed one, and I was getting up to turn on the light, and all of a sudden I hear this boom, and I was like, I've been shot. And then I turned on the light, and at first I only saw it like on my bed, like on the side of my bed. And I was just like, oh, okay, that's fine. No biggie. I was going to wash the sheets today anyway. And then I look up, and the wall next to my bed covered. It was everywhere. So my room smells like vinegar, because that's one of the ingredients for spicy ketchup. And yeah.
I like vinegar though.
I mean, I like vinegar too, but I didn't want my room to smell like it. I wasn't anticipating the ketchup flavored bedroom. But anyway, the good news is nothing got ruined. I just had a big mess I had to clean up.
We have a logo for our business now,
Yeah, we do.
which I forgot. And I don't know when, but I finished messing around with the website, but I think it said something about 24 to 48 hours before it posts. But then I also don't know from that. I'm trying to figure out if it's going to show, like if the website's going to actually go to the website that I created is actually going to go to www.nowaboutthatproductions.com. So I'm going to have to play around with it and see what's going on there, because there was something there where you had to change something at the domain where I own the domain to make it to connect the website I created with www.nowaboutthatproductions. So I have to figure that out and see how I can do that. This domain is connected. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. Sorry. It's I don't know where it's going.
I was like, getting me all excited.
It's not doing anything. I ask it to go to the site and it's just loading. So I'll have to figure that out and see if I can get it posted and then look at it later. I might have to talk to the company that I bought the domain through and see what I need to do to connect the website to the domain.
That makes sense.
Are you doing anything fun this weekend?
I don't think so. I know that Nick and I think we're planning on karaoke tonight. I think.
Yeah.
But other than that, nothing really. I actually have to work tomorrow because we don't have enough people, so I'm going in to help out because I'm a nice person.
Ew.
I know, I don't get paid enough.
I have school stuff to do, so that's fun.
Oh yeah, I should probably also do that. It was such a weird week because I'm in Texas, and we had a winter storm, so everything was covered in ice. And despite the fact that I'm taking online classes, I got a snow day from school. I got 2 snow days from school and 2 snow days from work, which would never happen in Indiana.
No, because Indiana knows how to actually.
Indiana has the infrastructure to actually clean the roads. But yeah, it was interesting. I was just like, okay, all right. I mean, I'm gonna take a break from school, sure.
Do you actually go into school for your stuff?
I don't.
Oh,
I am very lucky and I just do all my school stuff online. Now, my Korean class, we meet on Zoom. But yeah, other than that, there's not a lot of interaction.
hmm.
But what about you? Anything exciting?
I mean, I have school stuff that I need to do. Aside from that, there's Ryan and I are thinking are gonna watch. Well, tonight we're gonna watch Drag Race whenever he gets home, and then I think tomorrow we're probably gonna watch Tar.
Tar?
Yeah, it's a movie with, gosh, what is her name? Kate Blanchett.
Mm.
So, renowned musician Lydia Tarr is days away from recording the symphony that will elevate her career when all elements seem to conspire against her. Lydia's adopted daughter, Petra, becomes an integral emotional supporter for her struggling mother.
Hmm.
It seems really interesting, so and I think it's available somewhere. I don't remember where it's available, but we're going to watch it.
Mm. Well, I think Nick and I talked about watching Megan.
Yeah.
But we haven't done that yet. So he and Horace went and saw it and said that it was really good. So I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it's good enough that he wants to watch it a second time. So
we talked about that I think last week because I said I wanted to watch it, and I haven't. So
I haven't yet either. So
there's something I do really want to see, that Everything Everywhere All at Once movie,
same.
because I didn't realize what it was, but every time I saw commercials of it, I was like, this doesn't look very fun. But then when I read about like what it was, it sounds actually really interesting. So, but I don't
Yeah.
know where it's streaming, and I don't want to go see it in the theaters.
I think it's done in theaters now. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I want to go to a movie theater. It's a movie popcorn.
Where to watch?
Spend way too much.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, a science fiction movie starring Michelle Yeoh, Stephanie Sue, and Ke Huy Kwan is available to stream now. Watch it on the Roku channel, Paramount Plus, Showtime, Spectrum TV, Showtime Anywhere, Prime Video, Redbox, Apple TV, or Vudu.
Voodoo?
But,
You do.
but is it free?
But is it free?
Or do I have to have a special subscription to Showtime? I'm gonna look it up. I don't have my phone. Anyways, what else? What else is going on?
Well, I started back to therapy, which
Oh
I'm
yeah.
really excited about. And yeah, there's not a lot of interesting going. That's not true. There's interesting things going on in my life, but they're interesting to me, not so much the rest of the world.
I just did a class yesterday on emotional intelligence, which we've talked about before because I've done it several times. But it was fun, and I like to include videos in my trainings so that it's not just me talking the entire time. There's good information from a video.
Right.
And the last video I have included in the presentation is this guy going into the HR's office or bookkeeping or somebody and saying that he needs his check, and then it escalates really quickly, and he like is screaming, and he grabs something on her desk and like almost throws it at her, and then it like pauses after that and talks about understanding that what you're seeing isn't the only thing that's going on in someone's life. So
Right.
you need to be cognizant of the fact that there may be something else, other things going on that has just piled on to this person's day, but that still doesn't excuse the person from having an outburst. So there's two folds to it. When you're approaching someone or you're talking to someone that you can see is visibly upset or visibly emotionally like distraught, you should, in your own personal experience, talk to that person in a way that, like, if you were in that same spot, you would want to be talked to about, or talk to, and approach it from understanding that they're going through something, and you should
rather than
talk
just
to them
responding emotionally yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also the person that is going through the emotional issues and like all the stuff just piling up, taking a chance, like a minute, and taking a breath and adjusting checking your emotions basically before you actually go in and have a conversation with someone that is an important conversation, or
Yeah.
giving someone feedback. Like if you have to give someone feedback or tell someone or someone's giving you feedback and like it's negative feedback, check your emotions before you respond to their feedback,
Yeah.
because unless based on their intent. So like if their intent
Yeah.
is to be malicious, then obviously we still
Hit him in
don't
the face. No,
still
just kidding.
still don't come to that with aggression, but understand like the intent behind the person.
I love when you're talking as like, a fine upstanding adult with a fine upstanding adult job versus when you're talking like we are still teenagers and you're just like, just punch him in the face.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never said to just punch someone in the face.
That
Unless
is
unless it's a child.
it's not true, sir.
No, I joke a lot. I don't think that violence is ever an option.
I think violence is always an option. Now, it's whether or not it's a good option.
Yeah, which in most cases the answer is no.
Unless it's revolution, in which case, seize the means of production. Ugh, that was a weird noise. I don't know why I did that.
Anyways, you want to look up some trivia and do some trivia?
Sure.
Let's do some fun trivia to close it out.
I need to take a shower.
That's that smell.
Yes, that's the smell. That's the smelly smell.
Oh, look, food and drink trivia.
Ooh.
Okay, this is fun.
I was gonna say, I love talking about food.
What is the rarest M&M color?
Green.
It's brown.
See, I was gonna say brown.
What is the common name for dried plums?
Prunes?
Yes. What country consumes the most chocolate per capita? We've talked about this before. It's Switzerland, yeah.
To be fair, when you make chocolate that bomb, like
right? What is the name given to Indian food cooked over charcoal in a clay oven? Indian from India, basically.
Naan?
No, that's the bread.
That's the bread.
So it's Indian food cooked over charcoal in a clay oven.
And no.
Tandoori. What was the first soft drink in space?
Coca-Cola?
I was gonna say, I think we've talked about that before too, yeah. Coca-Cola. What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world?
Also Coca-Cola?
No.
No?
Tea.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense. Which is the only edible food that never goes bad? We've talked about this before.
It's honey.
Honey. Which country invented ice cream?
China.
China, yep. Hendrix, Larios, and Seagram's are all the best-selling brands of which spirit?
Vodka.
Never heard of Larios.
I haven't either.
No, it's gin.
Seagram's is gin? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
From which country does Gouda cheese originate?
I don't know, but it's a Gouda country.
Oh my god. We're going to have to disband the company and stop the podcast.
We just went through all of that hard work to get this website and get the logo and all this other stuff, and now you're just like,
Jesus.
One dad joke and that's it. We're calling it off.
It's the Netherlands. You're ridiculous.
Why does that make it even funnier that it's the Netherlands?
I don't know, but never say that joke again. Jesus. Oh, now we have entertainment trivia questions. What was the first toy to be advertised on television? We've talked about this before.
Mr. Potato Head?
Yeah. What was the first feature-length animated film ever released?
Snow White.
Yeah, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. What TV series showed the first interracial kiss on American network television?
Star Trek.
Of course you know that one.
Of course I know that one. I believe the episode's name is Plato's Children.
I have no idea.
And originally, Spock was supposed to kiss Uhura, not Captain Kirk.
And then what were the four main characters' names in the TV series Golden Girls that ran from 1985 to 1992?
Rose, Dorothy, Sophia, and Blanche.
Blanche. Which Disney princess talks to the most animals?
Sleeping Beauty.
No.
No?
Snow White. Sleeping Beauty really only talks to the mice and a bird.
No, that's Cinderella.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Sleeping Beauty, she talks to the owl, and there's some rabbits, You're making a face at me.
What awards has an EGOT winner won?
An Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
Yes.
He was mouthing it along with me.
Which member of the Beatles married Yoko Ono?
John Lennon.
That one's an easy one.
Dumbass.
Uh,
Him, John Lennon, was a dumbass.
and then what are the name of Cinderella's stepsisters?
I always get this wrong.
This is different from what we've looked at before.
Is it? Anastasia and Drusilla?
Yes, that's what it is. But we've looked at it before, and Drusilla wasn't the other one.
Yeah, because I always say Drusilla, and it's different.
What famous U.S. festival hosted 350,000 fans in 1969?
Woodstock?
Woodstock. The biggest selling music single of all times is?
All I Want for Christmas Is You.
No. I think when we looked at Christmas, it was White Christmas.
I think when we looked at Christmas, it was White Christmas, yes.
It's Candle in the Wind.
Which version? The original version that was for Marilyn Monroe, or the redone version for Princess Diana?
1997, so Princess Diana.
Princess Diana.
And then when Walt Disney was a child, what character did he play in his school function?
I don't know.
Peter Pan.
Okay.
Let's see. What else could we do?
I mean...
Ooh, The Office trivia.
I'm not going to be able to answer that at all. I've seen like 2 episodes of The Office.
And I think this is the British Office as well.
That's the only one I saw the 2 episodes of.
All right. Well, I think we can call it a day.
Yeah. You think we've been goofy enough?
I think so. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Now About That with James and Sarah. Please make sure you like, comment, follow, and subscribe if you like this episode. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And feel free to follow us on social media. Our Instagram handle is @NowAboutThatPod. And if there's something specific you would like for us to discuss on the podcast, feel free to email us at nowaboutThatPod@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening, and we hope you have a great week since this will be coming out on a Monday. And Sarah, have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
And we will all talk to you in the next episode. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Litigators.